The article Self-sabotage, as we view it through the window of tolerance, was inspired by one of my clients and my own story. Let's begin with him. So, he is a man who was in a relationship with a woman, and it was a really strained relationship. Poor communication, uh, lack of empathy. And from his perspective, uh, if you were to look at the affect regulation bar scale in the article, which runs horizontally, um, like 1 to 10, I tend to look at affect regulation as vertically because it makes more sense that 1 is below 10. Okay, so he would find himself living daily down on the lower end of the scale, maybe 2 or 3. On good days, maybe a 4. And this is because he lived in a lot of shame, did not think well of himself. There's always something that's going, well, let's put it this way, not deserving of good things is a common belief of a lot of clients I have, as a matter of fact. So when he called me one day to say, I just had the best weekend of my life with her. Everything went great. We had solid communication, felt very connected, like nothing I've ever experienced. And then right afterwards, I acted out. And in his words, he wanted to know, why did he sabotage a good thing? And I imagine for a lot of people, they would be asking the same thing. Why is it that when it's finally seems like it's on the right track, you would go and screw it up like that? Well, let's look through it as if there's a window of tolerance. If he's living day by day, learning how to operate in a space where his normative on the scale is 2 or 3, if he has a very narrow window of tolerance in that range, then even on good days, that we would say good events happen that felt exciting, happiness, joy, maybe a 5 or a 6, that's exceeding his window of tolerance. It's very disruptive, very dysregulating. And so when his nervous system is picking up on the fact that, wow, I feel really good. Oh no, that's a bad thing because I don't deserve good things and something bad is waiting for me right around the corner. That his nervous system created a lot of stress and anxiety about that fear, and building up stress has to be relieved somehow. And we do that by acting out. For me, I'm on the other end of the scale. I'm way up here where I used to be. I used to be like an 8 or a 9, uh, very hyper, always on edge would be a good way to describe me. It didn't take a lot for uh, for me to get dysregulated, to get, I called it a teapot, where it just blow off a lot of steam and become angry, and then let off that steam and kind of settle back in like the 8 or 9 zone. But what's interesting is that even in the good times, it was unsettling. I found it hard to be able to sit in calmness. I enjoyed happiness, um, being happy and laughing, even though those were rare times, but it was the calmness that was challenging. For me to just to kind of sit in a chair like I'm doing right now and just kind of pondering the day and really having nothing to do would be very dysregulating, because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I ought to be doing something. And this comes from being conditioned that my worth, my value comes from the work I do. It's a performance based uh, self evaluation. So when I'm not doing anything, I feel like I should be doing something, and then I start beating myself up. If I'm just relaxing in a chair, that can be dysregulating. So even when, my point being, this inspiration is recognizing that even times when we're engaged in activities that feel like a 5 or a 6, if that's not where our norm is, where we normally operate from, what would be a well-regulated period of time, that can actually be dysregulating for someone who does not live in that environment. So the takeaway and the intent behind the article is to, well, to bring awareness to uh, the window of tolerance and how self-sabotage can be explained by that. But also, if if you ever if you ever heard of the window of tolerance before, you've probably also heard that the idea is to expand it, to learn how to sit with slightly more dysregulated periods without becoming overreactive. So if the idea being that for me, if my normative is in like an 8 or 9, learning how to sit in a 7 or a 6 area in the zone without becoming dysregulated, without becoming reactive. While that's good, I look at it just a slightly bit differently because I recognize myself and my clients live on a different part of the scale than what most people would say would be well regulated, 5 or 6 area, the zone on the scale. What I do with my clients is try to teach them, hey, we need to start learning to live and operate and center our window of tolerance in the middle, rather than it normally being in an 8 or 9 or a 2 or 3. If I'm up here and this is how I wake up in the morning and how I operate throughout the day, it's not enough to be able to expand my window. I need to learn how to start living and operating back down here in the 5 or 6. And that's more challenging than you would believe it to be. Because when you spend your whole life with a belief system that keeps you stuck up here or stuck down here, you have to change your relationship with yourself so that you can slowly move uh, how you live and operate in the world right here in the middle and expand your window of tolerance. All right. So that's the inspiration.